The old State House was the center of all political life and debate in colonial Boston. The site where the building stands now was originally Boston's old townhouse. After Boston's townhouse burnt down in 1711, the old State House was then built 2 years later in 1713. In 1747, after being rebuilt from a small fire, the lion and the unicorn are added to the east side of the building to represent British rule over Boston. In the council chamber, James Otis argued against the writs of assistance. His speech was one of the events that led to the American Revolution. Tensions broke out between the colonies and British troops. Then, on March 5, 1770, the famous Boston Massacre occurred right outside the State House. Within these walls, John Adams, John Hancock, Samuel Adams, and other patriots debated the future of American self-government and set in motion the American Revolution. In 1776, Bostonians gathered in front of the old State House to hear the Declaration of Independence for the first time. It was at this event that the lion and the unicorn were torn off the building and burned, representing the separation from Britain. In 1780, the building became the first Massachusetts State House. The building was used to house the state government, which met on the second floor. Here is where they would meet to discuss political issues. The first floor was a merchant's exchange, where colonists could sell their goods, which helped strengthen the economy. Another important event in 1780, held at the State House, was the inauguration of John Hancock as the first governor of the Commonwealth. In 1789, a celebration is held in honor of George Washington when he visits the State House. This event shows how the State House is used for social events as well as political and economic endeavors. In 1798, this building becomes a center for economic growth when the building was rented to shops and businesses. Then again, in 1830, the building is used for political purposes when it becomes Boston City Hall. In 1840, the building returns to a home for merchants when it is rented to shops and businesses. In 1881, the State House underwent major renovations under the direction of the Bostonian Society, which was founded to preserve the old State House. The city of Boston actually considered tearing it down, but the Bostonian Society won out, and the second and third floor became a museum. The goal of the initial restoration, undertaken by George Clow in 1881, was to return the old State House to its 18th century appearance. In 1905, subway tunnels were excavated under the old State House. This was just another multi-use of this building. This was the third renovation of the old State House. As Boston grew and changed, the old State House underwent many renovations, due to this building being Boston's political and geographical center. In 1976, Queen Elizabeth II visits for the U.S. bicentennial and greets Bostonians from the balcony of the old State House. How ironic that the Queen of England, who we were trying to separate from, 200 years later, visits the exact spot where our Declaration of Independence was announced to the people. From 1990 to 1992, the old State House was modernized during the fifth renovation. This building is well known as the seat of Massachusetts government in the 1700s, but the old State House was also been Boston City Hall, a market, a museum, an office building, and a subway stop. As the uses changed, so did the look of the building, both inside and out. The importance of this building is evident by the numerous renovations and its many uses. This building has had a huge impact economically, socially, and politically on society that it now serves as a museum for all to visit. Today, the old State House looks tiny compared to the skyscrapers that surround it, but during the 1700s, the old State House was one of the largest and most important buildings in Boston. The old State House is a popular site for historians and tourists.